Coming up on NewsCenter this Christmas night. Resolved to settle, Japan's foreign minister will be in Seoul on Monday to sit down with his South Korean counterpart for talks aimed at an early resolution to row over Imperial Japan's wartime sexual enslavement of women. North Korea's nuclear capacity is more advanced than initial estimates. South Korean authorities believe that the regime is now capable of producing a nuclear weapon using less plutonium than the conventional 6 kilograms. And Christmas in Korea. From hitting the glistening snow slopes to attending the midnight mass, Koreans celebrate this Christmas day in their own magical ways. We'll show you how. NewsCenter begins right now. Good evening to you here in Korea, and hello to those around the world. Welcome to NewsCenter. Now, we reported yesterday of Japanese media reports that its foreign minister will soon be visiting Seoul to sit down with his South Korean counterpart for another attempt at resolving the long overdue issue of Japan's sexual enslavement of women before and during World War II. Well, the Korean government confirmed the reports today. Japan's Foreign Minister Fumio Kishida will visit Seoul on Monday for ministerial talks. Can we expect the decades-long issue settled once and for all? Arirang News' Connie Kim reports.
Seen as a move in bringing a breakthrough in Korea-Japan relations, Seoul has confirmed Korea's Foreign Minister Yoon Byung-se and his Japanese counterpart Fumio Kishida will sit down for talks in Seoul on Monday.
Minister Yoon will meet with his counterpart Kishida and exchange views on pending bilateral issues, including Japan's wartime sexual enslavement of Korean women.
Ahead of the meeting, Korea and Japan will hold working-level talks in Seoul on Sunday to fine-tune the details of the foreign ministers' talks. This comes as Japanese media reported Thursday, Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe ordered Kishida to visit Korea this month. Bilateral relations have been frayed for years, mainly as Japan denies its wartime atrocities, including the sexual enslavement of Korean women before and during World War II. President Park Geun-hye and Prime Minister Abe agreed to accelerate negotiations at a summit in November, as this year marks the 50 years of diplomatic ties between the two countries. In a sign that shows Tokyo is willing to make progress in the so-called comfort women issue, Japanese newspaper Nihon Keizai Shimbun reported Tokyo will propose setting up a government-backed fund of more than 100 million yen, or roughly $83 million that would pay out 10 years' worth of aid. A letter to the victims, including the words responsibility and apology, is also being reviewed, according to the Daily. These would be huge steps forward, as Abe stopped short of issuing a fresh apology in a statement made in August, marking the 70th anniversary of Japan's defeat in World War II. But whether the two countries will find stepping stones in resolving one of the main sources of contention remains to be seen following the talks on Monday. Connie Kim, Arirang News.
North Korea appears to have made progress in advancing its nuclear weapons development capabilities. Well, it's been widely believed that it normally takes about 6 kilograms of plutonium to make one nuclear weapon. Well, government sources here say there are reasons to believe that North Korea now has the ability to produce a nuclear bomb with less than that amount of plutonium. Now, that means the nuclear ambitious state can now produce more nuclear weapons than earlier estimates. North Korea's growing nuclear ambition. Our Lee Ji-won reports.
Has North Korea improved its ability to produce nuclear weapons? That seems to be the case, as multiple government sources said Friday the nuclear state has reached a level where it could produce one nuclear weapon with less than 6 kilograms of plutonium. This is unusual, as it normally requires some 6 kilograms of plutonium to produce one nuclear weapon. A source speaking on condition of anonymity said the assessment comes as Pyongyang is suspected to have manufactured multiple nuclear weapons. Seoul's defense ministry estimates North Korea possesses a total of some 40 kilograms of plutonium. This means North Korea has developed the capability to produce more than 8 nuclear weapons. While Seoul says it is unclear on how many weapons Pyongyang possesses, the U.S. Heritage Foundation estimates the regime has 8 nuclear weapons in its arsenal. Even more concerning, the U.S. Institute for Science and International Security said the North possesses the necessary materials to potentially manufacture up to 22 nuclear weapons. Despite international calls for North Korea to denuclearize, the regime continues to forge ahead with its nuclear development. Taking into consideration North Korea's unpredictable nature and its young leader, the U.S. Center for Preventive Action listed the nuclear state as one of the biggest security threats for 2016. North Korea this year test-fired its submarine-launched ballistic missiles twice. Officials also believe that North Korea's capacity to miniaturize nuclear warheads has reached a considerable level. 이지원, Arirang News.
Key evidence in a Philippines murder case of a Korean national. Now, Seoul's special team of investigators returned home today following 3 days of on-site investigations, a joint task with the local police. The team has discovered that the 57-year-old Korean businessman was shot 6 times to death. Our Oh Soo-young has the details.
A team of investigators from Korea returned home from the Philippines this morning after a number of potential key findings in the murder case of a Korean national. The 57-year-old businessman surnamed Cho was shot multiple times by 4 unidentified gunmen at his temporary residence in Batangas on December 20th. Observing the surveillance camera footage, the Korean officials were able to identify the suspect's vehicle, a white SUV passing through a toll gate on a nearby motorway. And at the murder scene, they also discovered a loaded cartridge and 2 empty ones, overlooked by the local police. Moreover, after intensive questioning of Cho's relatives and witnesses, the task force believes it might have been a contract killing issued by a business associate or his Filipino wife, who he was in the process of divorcing. The relevant footage and evidence has been handed over to local authorities.
So whatever information that you give us now that can help the investigations, we promise that we will make use of this. We will try to develop more.
The 3-man team, made up of 2 crime investigators and 1 forensic specialist, marks the first time that Korea has dispatched a special investigation force overseas. With a string of attacks on Korean nationals in the Philippines, Cho's death would make the 11th killing this year. Earlier this month, Korea's police agency announced the enlisting of 63 specialists in the fields of forensics, crime and safety to conduct investigations in the Southeast Asian country for cases involving Koreans. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News.
As countries around the world celebrate Christmas on this Friday, Koreans also enjoy the holiday in their own meaningful ways. Now, some spent the day at cathedrals and churches, while others took advantage of the beautiful weather, breezing down the glistening white snow slopes or traveling to Korea's southern resort island. Our Kim Min-ji takes a look at Christmas 2015 in Korea.
Friends and family gathered at Myeongdong Cathedral in Seoul to attend a mass presided over by Archbishop Andrew Yum-Soo-jung. The religious leader stressed that our world is far from peace, citing the neglect of life, destruction of the environment, materialism, and egoism. The National Council of Churches in Korea released a Christmas message saying the overflowing wisdom of love will melt the hatred of all people and bring reconciliation to the world. The Jogae Order of Korean Buddhism said that people should give happiness to others and have their sorrows to achieve true happiness for themselves. Others took advantage of the clear weather conditions to make the best of their 3-day weekend. Some 30,000 people flocked to 9 ski resorts in Gangwon-do Province, a famous winter leisure sports destination, and also host to the 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Olympics. Some opted to get a view of the sea and enjoy some fishing, and even catch some with their bare hands. Tens of thousands of people also arrived at the southern resort island of Jeju to enjoy their Christmas holiday break. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
But it was Christmas disaster in some parts of the world. A series of unfortunate events took place in different countries. Our Won Ji-hyun gives us a closer look at some of these real-life nightmares before Christmas.
Christmas season. For many, it's the happiest time of the year. But in some parts of the world, the holiday season began on a scary note. A deadly shooting took place inside a busy shopping mall in North Carolina on Christmas Eve.
I was shaking until maybe 5 minutes ago. It was very scary because I don't know what happened, what was going on. It was terrifying, and it was terrifying to most of the people in there with small kids. I heard them calling their kids' names, and it was very scary.
Police say a fight between people who knew each other escalated as a man pulled out his gun and opened fire. The event resulted in the suspect being fatally shot by an off-duty officer. No one was hurt. Also, a series of natural disasters hit the southeastern parts of the United States. Tornadoes and twisters left hundreds of homes damaged, with dozens of casualties, including 14 people dead in the states of Arkansas, Mississippi, and Tennessee.
It is difficult, particularly this time of year, to see such damage and know that heartbreaks go along with that damage, that families have lost loved ones.
Meanwhile, cities in China saw blankets of heavy smog instead of white snow on Christmas Day. Smog alerts have been issued in metropolitan areas, with a red alert, the highest in the country, being issued for Beijing 2 times this month alone. Won Ji-hyun, Arirang News.
Christmas, it's not a universally celebrated holiday, but it has certainly made its way around the globe to many countries and cultures, of course, Korea being no exception. Now, when I think Christmas, I think fresh pine trees, home-baked cookies, eggnog by the fire, and lots of time with family. But what does Christmas mean for most Koreans? How has this country come to embrace the holiday? Our Kwon Jang-ho hit the streets to find out himself.
Christmas is the holiday where you spend time with family and loved ones, giving each other gifts, singing carols. That's in the West, at least. But how do people in Korea spend Christmas? I came out here to ask around.
I'm going on a trip with the family to Jeju-do Island.
I got married this year, so I'll be spending Christmas with my husband and my family.
On Christmas Eve, I have plans to go drinking with my friends in Sinchon. On Christmas Day, I'll be studying.
Until the 24th, I'm going to party really hard. I'm going to be out all night. And on Christmas Day, I'm going to sleep.
That doesn't sound too dissimilar from what's common in the West. But dig a little deeper, and there are some notable differences. For example, there is less emphasis on family time, especially among young people. In a survey, it was found that only 33% of people in their 20s and 30s spent Christmas with their family. So who do they spend it with?
Students usually spend Christmas with friends.
People with a boyfriend or girlfriend usually spend Christmas together.
In another survey, when asked what was the most important occasion for a couple, Christmas was voted number 2 after the first date anniversary.
It's almost seen as strange if you're not spending time with your partner. In Korea, there does seem to be a feeling that this is a holiday for couples.
The practice of gift giving is also one that isn't strictly followed, and it's usually reserved for children.
I haven't had Christmas presents since I was 10 years old.
My family doesn't exchange gifts.
I'm planning to give my son a nice gift. But the children don't give gifts to their parents. It's the parents who give gifts to their children.
It might not be quite the same as how Christmas is celebrated in the West, but as one of the few nations in Asia that has adopted Christmas as a public holiday, Korean people are still enjoying it in their own way. Kwon Jang-ho, Arirang News.
Yet the true spirit of Christmas, shared all across the globe, is a spirit of giving to those less privileged and helping those in need. Now, staying true to that spirit, a local community center in Korea has been playing Santa for some other neighborhoods at low-income senior residents this holiday season, but there's only so much it can do alone. Well, this year, playing elves for the holiday season are student volunteers. On a warm, toasty note, here's our Lee-Soon.
A nice hairdo and a little bit of makeup. These are things that some of the seniors in this neighborhood in northwestern Seoul aren't used to.
Usually, during the holidays, I don't go anywhere. My children don't really come home either. But today, I'm really happy. I want to go out somewhere since they did this makeup and hair for me.
The makeover was a holiday gift from the Hongun-il-dong Community Service Center in Seodae-mungu District. The center invited 300 elderly, low-income residents to Eunje Christian Church in Seoul for an afternoon that included the makeover, a photo shoot, and a warm lunch. They got a helping hand from a group of high school volunteers.
I feel proud to have shared what I do best, makeup, with the elderly and help them make great memories because they don't usually have many opportunities to talk with young students.
The seniors couldn't help but smile looking at the pictures of themselves. Then they were treated to a bowl of warm chicken stew to fill their stomachs thanks to a group of university student volunteers who formed the culinary team in the kitchen.
It's a short day, but I hope the seniors here will feel the community's warmth more than by just having a meal. To be honest, the center doesn't have enough time, people or money to host all of these events, and so I'm thankful that the volunteers have filled that gap.
Christmas time for the senior citizens living in the city could have been cold and lonely, but that won't be the case this year thanks to the Hongun-il-dong Community Service Center and the student volunteers. Yusuin, Arirang News.
Well, after Christmas, it's soon New Year's Eve, and before we know it, it'll be 2016. With 2015 soon coming to an end, it's high time we look back at some of the new technologies that broke into the market and made headlines. Now, most of them, of course, are gadgets that added a little more convenience to our lives. Laying them out before us is Arirang News' Shin Se-min.
Formerly known as a low-end iPhone copycat, China's Xiaomi is now better known for its range of tablets, wearables, and smart home products, as well as a new self-balancing electric scooter launched with Segway. It's topping holiday wish list at just $315. Be it curvy, lean, or widescreen, a number of smartphones leapt onto the market this year, including a couple from a pair of old rivals. Samsung Electronics had its Galaxy S6 Edge with a curved screen that wraps around the sides of the handset. Apple rolled out an upgrade to the iPhone 6, the 6S and 6S Plus, featuring the sharpest display and the biggest 5.5-inch screen yet. Korea's mobile messaging service, KakaoTalk, grew into a behemoth this year after its merger with Daum Communications, Korea's second-largest portal. The merger set the new company called Daum Kakao, but soon it lopped Daum off its corporate name. Kakao went on to become an all-in-one social networking service, launching multiple services for shopping, media, and payments, in addition to a popular Uber-like taxi service. Fintech got a bit savvier and a bit more popular this year. Mobile payment apps by Apple and Samsung let users pay for items on the go with just a tap, then the payment is done. And with Korea handing out licenses for the country's first internet-only banks in October, financial services will be offered online without brick-and-mortar locations for the first time. Drones came a little further into our daily lives. Some were for work, with online retail giant Amazon unveiling a new hybrid delivery drone that acts like a helicopter. While others were for play, like these new virtual reality handsets, some of which allow users to control and capture the VR imagery. Shin Se-min, Arirang News.
Pope Francis led a Christmas Eve Mass in St. Peter's Basilica, addressing over 1 billion Catholics around the world. Bruce Harrison has the day off, so Sunho Lee is in for Bruce tonight, so let's welcome him. Sunho, the Pope began his speech by saying that we need to lead on a more modest lifestyle.
That's correct, Kenyon. Although he did initially express his joy for Christmas, he also counter-expressed his lament of the excess of people and what he described was to be a culture of indifference.
Right, and the Pope, being the kind of Pope who's much interested in politics and economics and all world's affairs, he also mentioned more pressing issues such as the conflict in the Middle East.
That's right. After talking about the true meaning of Christmas, he later turned to a wide range of injustices in the world, such as terrorism, persecuted Christians, and even migrants. During the midnight mass, he made reference to the birth of Jesus Christ in a lowly stable. As the Pope said, the child was born into poverty of this world, and there was no room in the inn for him and his family.
This child calls us to act soberly. In other words, in a way that is simple, balanced, consistent, capable of seeing and doing what is essential.
Afterwards, for his Christmas Day speech, he urged the international community to crack down unanimously on the Islamic State and put an end to atrocities committed in the Middle East and Africa. He also offered consolation and strength to the many Christians that are being persecuted for their faith. Pope Francis also underlined the plight of migrants as well as those most vulnerable in the world, including soldier children and victims of sex trafficking and the drug trade. The Pope ended with words of blessing, saying that mercy was the most precious gift given by God in this year of Jubilee.
Well, in light of the cheerful holidays, it seems like there are a bunch of Santa Claus running. Apparently in good shape. So what are the motivations behind all these Santa Claus running?
That's right, Kwon Young. Motivations ranged from spreading Christmas joy to raising funds for children. Many countries took part in these Santa marathons. In Moscow, for instance, more than 1,000 Santas ran through the streets of the Russian capital to raise money for children's hospices. Donning the red and white costumes, joggers took on the gray and cold weather and chose to take part in either a 5 or 10-kilometer run. Now over in Spain, a similar event took place as more than 10,000 Santas and elves participated in an annual holiday race to spread Christmas cheer. Likewise, in Sydney, a charity run for a children's donation took place as the runners were seen passing the Sydney Opera House and under the Harbour Bridge. Santa runs weren't just localized to the West, though, as Shanghai also took part in its own Santa charity run, with approximately 1,000 in attendance. In an ongoing feud between two smartphone techs, Apple is demanding that Samsung pay an additional $180 million in compensation over its smartphone design. This measure comes just less than 2 weeks after Samsung agreed to pay $548 million in line with the original verdict. But now the company is asking Samsung to pay for damage related to 5 phone models sold since 2012. As of now, it is unclear which Samsung phones Apple is seeking compensation for, but Apple filed the motion in a U.S. district court in California on Wednesday. Apple first asked for $2.5 billion when the lawsuit kicked off in 2011, but this number was reduced to less than $1 billion in the 2012 verdict. The patent dispute shows no signs of ending anytime soon, as Samsung argues the 2012 ruling was incorrect and has requested the U.S. Supreme Court to review the evidence.
Well, court cases between Apple and Samsung have been, going back and forth in the U.S. and in other parts of the world. And I have a feeling 2016 will also see, a continuous court lawsuits between the two handphone or smartphone giants.
Yes, well, I hope the feud ends pretty soon.
All right. Sun-ho, thanks so much for filling in for Bruce tonight.
Thank you very much.
Chung Kyung-hwa to Sarah Chang. The world has seen stellar performers in the realm of classical music, more specifically violinists. And we have another, but she's not just another. She's one extraordinary violin player. At 16 years old, she became the youngest prize winner of the 10th International Sibelius Violin Competition. Last year, she became the first Korean ever to be selected as the BBC New Generation Artist. In person with me on this Christmas Day is Esther Yoo. Esther, welcome to the program.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Right. I know you're in Korea for a few weeks now. What brings you to Korea this time around? You're mostly based in Brussels.
Yes, I am based in Brussels, and I'm here in Korea right now. I just had concerts with the KBS Symphony and Yoel Levy at Seoul Arts Center and in Cheonan Arts Center. And we played the Brahms Concerto, and it was really great to be back in Korea and to perform for Korean audiences. And I'm also promoting my debut album, which is released just in October. And so I have some events around the CD.
Right, and which is this.
Yes,
yes,
exactly.
This is your new album or your debut album,
yes, my
first
debut
ever.
Album. Yes.
Right. What was your experience like making an album? I guess as opposed to performing live on stage.
It was a really interesting and fun experience. Recording for a CD especially is very different from even a live performance, and I think the preparation aspect is different as well, and there's a lot more, like every little thing counts, and then it makes you wonder, oh, maybe I should be a little more precise in my live performances, but it's a different kind of control maybe. And no, but it was a really fun process, and I've learned so much through putting this together.
So you've been chosen as the BBC's New Generation Artist. What does that mean? What's your experience there like?
It's an incredible experience. I mean, first of all, it's a great honor, and also to be the first Korean ever is a very special feeling. But it's a fantastic experience because the BBC has many different orchestras all over the UK, BBC Symphony, BBC Philharmonic, even in Scotland. So you have opportunities to play with those orchestras, and also through this NGA scheme, you get to record for BBC Radio 3, which is their core classical channel. And so I've done so many recordings now for radio, and it's a great learning experience and opportunity for young musicians that it doesn't happen to young musicians very often to have this experience and the exposure as well. So it's been a real blessing.
What are you like in real person? I think we've heard enough of the world-class violinist Esther Yoo. But what about Esther, the 21-year-old Esther? What do you like to do? What do you do in your free time? Do you have free time? What kind of music do you like to listen to? What do you do?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's always been important for me to have a balance between, traveling around, playing concerts, and then just being the average young girl. And now I'm doing a lot on social media, and I've just recently started a YouTube channel that is a big hobby of mine, where I basically make these vlogs and fun videos where people can follow me behind the scenes when I go traveling to different countries, and they can have some insight into what it's like to go to a rehearsal or 5 minutes before a concert or something like that. It's a project that I'm very committed to, and yeah, the link is youtube.com/Esther Yoo Violin Videos. So
Esther Yoo Violin Videos.
Yes.
I look forward to seeing that actually. Yes. Finally, do you have a dream? Do you have a goal in life?
Yes, of course. I really want to not only continue as a classical violinist, but also I feel like, especially as a young artist, I have some responsibility to make sure that classical music continues to grow in our society and through many different channels, and so that it can reach a wider audience, and also to make it just more friendly, which I'm trying to do through my YouTube channel, and to open doors.
Well, Esther Yoo, we hope to hear more of your performance, and best of luck to your endeavors in doing whatever that you hope to achieve in the future. And thank you so much for coming to our studio tonight.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be here.
Well, that beautiful, rare full moon is the very reason why we're not too sorry that it wasn't a snow-covered white Christmas today. It hangs low, lighting up the Seoul skies right now. So if you haven't already, go outside, gaze at that moon, and make sure you make a wish, because not only is it the first Christmas event in 38 years, but if you miss this one, there won't be another one until Christmas 2034. Well, I personally managed to slip out right before the broadcast to make my wish, and it was chilly. And this is just about where our weathercaster Jihyun pops in. Jihyun, a chilly but a bright, shiny Christmas day we had today, but snow is in the forecast overnight, you say?
Yes, Kanyang. Well, actually, people in the western coastal regions have been seeing snow for the last couple of hours, but more snow is on its way for the central parts of the country. Overnight, up to 3 centimeters of snowfall. So that means we could wake up to icy and slippery roads tomorrow morning, so be careful out on the roads. And speaking of roads, as it was expected, major expressways heading out of the capital area were packed today, and the same is expected tomorrow on the roads leading back to the metropolitan areas, with an estimated travel time of at least 5 hours from Gangneung to Seoul. And the congestion will begin at around noon, hitting its peak between 6 and 7 p.m. and will not ease up till 10 p.m. on both Saturday and Sunday. And tomorrow should not be as cold as today, as the daily low here in Seoul will start out at -1, 0 for Daejeon and Daegu, 4 and 8 for Busan and Jeju Island. And afternoon highs will be slightly higher than today. The high in Seoul will rise to 5, 10 for Daegu. Busan and Jeju will see a high of 13 and 12. Now get ready for a real cold snap, as readings will go down on Sunday, and Monday should be the coldest day of the season, with a low plunging to -8 here in Seoul. Well, that's Korea for you, and here's a look at the weather conditions around the world.
That's going to do it for us this Friday night. Hope you had a magical Christmas day with your friends and family. I'm Moon Ganyang, and we'll see you right back here same time on Monday. But before we go, a Christmas gift to you all from all of us here at Arirang News Center. Here's Esther Yoo.